Good afternoon, everyone. Can you imagine a world where genetic disorders, which have plagued families for generations, could be treated or cured with a single procedure? What if hearing loss, blindness, or certain inherited diseases could be reversed? Today, we're diving into a fascinating field of gene therapy, a revolutionary approach in medicine that is changing lives. Now, let's proceed to our topic for today, the aspects of gene therapy. Lesson objective. At the end of this lesson, the student should be able to describe gene therapy and its various forms, and assess the issues, potential benefits, and detriments to global health. Medical science has detected many human diseases related to defective genes. This type of diseases are not curable by traditional methods like taking readily available medicines. Gene therapy is a potential method to either treat or cure genetic-related human illnesses. In 2015, a team of researchers at the Harvard Medical School and the Boston Children's Hospital stated that they were able to restore basic hearing in genetically deaf mice using gene therapy. The Boston Children's Hospital research team also reported that they have restored a higher level of hearing down to 25 decibels, which is actually equivalent to a whisper. They use an improved gene therapy vector developed at the Massachusetts Eye and Ear that was identified as ANC80, which enable the transfer of genes to the inaccessible outer hair cells when introduced into the cochlea. Human gene therapy was actually first realized in 1971 when the first recombinant DNA experiment were planned. It can be simply viewed as insertion foreign DNA into a patient's tissue that hope to successfully eradicate the target disease. It was actually inspired by the success of recombinant DNA technology, which occurred over the last 20 years. Without a doubt, gene therapy is the most promising yet possibly unfavorable medical field being studied.
Gene therapy is a revolutionary approach in medical science aimed at treating or preventing diseases by modifying the genetic material within a person's cells. According to Fleisler, there are several key approaches to gene therapy. The first one is replacement of a mutated gene that causes disease with a healthy copy of the gene. So this involves replacing a disease-causing mutated gene with a healthy copy of the gene. So this approach aims to restore normal functions by providing the correct genetic instructions. The second one is inactivation of a mutated gene that is functioning improperly. So in some cases, a mutated gene may function improperly. So gene therapy can inactivate or knock out this gene to prevent it from causing them. The third one is introducing a new gene into the body to help fight the disease. So introducing a new gene into the body can help fight diseases because this new gene can provide the necessary instructions to produce proteins that combat the disease.
In order for the muscles in our bodies to function, our cells need protein. In a healthy person, genes enable the body to produce the right proteins in the right amounts. One protein that's very important for cell function is called survival of motor neuron, or SMN. In genetic disorders like type 1 spinal muscular atrophy, cells cannot produce enough healthy functioning SMN because they have a defective gene. In one of our clinical trials, researchers are using gene therapy to deliver the healthy SMN1 gene to a patient's cells. Researchers take viruses and modify them in a lab so they only contain the SMN1 gene and do not cause harm to the patient. These viruses are loaded with the healthy SMN1 gene and injected into the body. When the material is injected, the viruses deliver the healthy SMN1 gene to the cells all over the body. Most importantly, they cross the blood-brain barrier to the motor neuron cells in the spinal cord. Once the virus has delivered the SMN1 gene to the cell, the virus disintegrates. The healthy SMN1 gene is taken into the cell but does not integrate with a native DNA, and no other genes are disturbed. Once the healthy gene is inside the cell, it can create normal functioning SMN protein. The goal is the good gene will produce enough good protein and the cell will function properly. Nerve cells that do not make good proteins will eventually die. When they die, the patient loses the ability to use his or her muscles. By delivering the healthy SMN1 gene to the cell before it dies, we can prevent the onset or stop the progression of SMA type 1 symptoms. For this reason, it's critical we identify and treat children as early as possible to give them the best possible outcome.
To continue our topic, let me discuss with you the two types of gene therapy. The first one is somatic gene therapy. So what is somatic gene therapy? According to Nemsurgeon, somatic gene therapy involves the manipulation of genes in cells that will be helpful to the patient but not inherited to the next generation. Somatic gene therapy is the medical practice of changing genes in specific cells in a patient's body with the aim of either treating or preventing diseases. This form of therapy targets somatic cells, which are any cells in the body except from sperm and egg cells. This means that the changes made to the genes will affect the patient but will not be passed on to their offspring. In simpler terms, if a person receives somatic gene therapy, the changes are intended to help them directly, like correcting a genetic defect or improving their health. But these changes do not alter their genetic makeup in a way that their children would inherit. This makes somatic gene therapy a safer option for addressing genetic disorders without the ethical concerns associated with germline gene therapy, which does affect heritable genes. What is its function? Somatic gene therapy is the process by which genes are altered within somatic cells, hence excluding sperm and egg cells. The therapy corrects or replaces a defect in genes responsible for disease development. This type of therapy does not affect the reproductive cells of the patient. Changes made, therefore, are not inherited by the subsequent generation. The key aspect of somatic gene therapy is that it only targets the existing cells of a patient. Therefore, means that the genetic alterations or changes made to the body during the process will never be passed on to the patient's reproductive cells. They will thus never be transferred to any future generation. In this regard, somatic gene therapy is primarily concerned with offering improved health conditions for the patient through correction of genetic errors without the exposure of their offspring to such alterations. That makes it a more controlled and ethically straightforward option than cell therapies that modify germline cells. Next is the benefits of somatic gene therapy. This treatment holds great potential to treat a variety of genetic disorders, cancers, and some viral infections. This could lead to health improvement, decrease in symptoms, and quality life of patients. Relatively effective somatic gene therapy could have reduced future healthcare costs and generate motives for more advances in medical science and encourage public investment in research and somatic gene therapy has significant potential for treating a wide range of health issues, including genetic disorders, cancers, and certain viral infections. By correcting or replacing defective genes, this therapy can lead to improvements in patients' health, reduce symptoms of diseases, and enhance their overall quality of life. If somatic gene therapy becomes more effective and widely available, it could also have broader benefits for healthcare system. For example, By effectively treating conditions that might otherwise require long term care or expensive treatments, it could lower future healthcare costs. Additionally, the success of somatic gene therapy could inspire further advancement in medical science, driving innovation and encouraging public investment in research and development. This could lead to new therapies and treatments, ultimately benefiting more patients and enhancing healthcare overall. The last one is the example of somatic gene therapy. The most famous example of somatic gene therapy is the Luxturna treatment for inherited forms of blindness caused by mutations in the RPE65 gene. In Luxturna, a normal copy of the RPE65 gene is delivered directly to the retinal cells and enables patients to recover partial vision. An excellent example is the Luxturna therapy, used for inherited types of inherited blindness related to RPE65 mutations. RPE65 takes part in normal cell functions within retinas, and its mutations result in high loss or total visions upon mutations. A healthy copy of the RPE65 gene is directly infused into the retinal cells of the patient's eyes during Luxturna. This therapy will allow retinal cells to produce the necessary proteins for normal visions, and thereby help restore partial visions in affected individuals. It is one example of how somatic gene therapy is applied to correct specific genetic defects to improve quality of life in patients with inherited conditions. The next type of gene will be discussed by the next reporter. Thank you.
Two types of gene therapy. The techniques used in gene therapy involve the administration of a specific DNA or RNA sequence. Researchers hope that in the future, gene therapy will enable patients to be treated by inserting genes into their cells, rather than requiring them to take drugs or undergo surgery. Gene therapy offers a promising new approach to treating a wide range of diseases, including various forms of cancer, inherited diseases, and certain viral infections. However, further studies are still required to ensure the safety and effectiveness of these techniques. Currently, gene therapy is only used to treat diseases where other therapies are already known to be ineffective. The techniques. What is germline gene therapy? Germline therapy involves the modification of the genes inside germs or gamete cells, which include sperm or ova. Germline therapy would therefore be administered during reproduction, where the modified gamete cells fuse to form a zygote. Once fused together, the zygote divides and passes on the modified gene to all other cells of the body during the development of offspring. In this way, germline therapy alters the genome of future generations to come. What is germline gene therapy? Germline therapy involves the modification of the genes inside germs or gamete cells, which include sperm or ova. Germline therapy would therefore be administered during reproduction, where the modified gamete cells fuse to form a zygote. Once fused together, the zygote divides and passes on the modified gene to all other cells of the body during the development of offspring. In this way, germline therapy alters the genome of future generations to come. What is germline gene therapy? Germline therapy involves the modification of the genes inside germs or gamete cells, which include sperm or ova. Germline therapy would therefore be administered during reproduction, where the modified gamete cells fuse to form a. Functions of germline. Germline gene therapy involves making genetic modifications to the germline cells, which include sperms and eggs or early embryos, which means the changes can be inherited by future generations. Here are some key functions and potential benefits of germline gene therapy. First, disease prevention. It can
potentially eliminate genetic disorders from a family lineage by correcting mutations in genes that cause hereditary diseases such as cystic fibrosis or sickle cell anemia. Second, enhance genetic traits. There is potential for enhancing desirable traits such as resistance to certain diseases or improved physical or cognitive abilities. Through this raises ethical concerns. Third, research and understanding. Germline gene therapy can provide insights into genetic diseases and the function of specific genes, contributing to broader medical and scientific knowledge. Last, ethical and regulatory discussion. Germline modifications prompt important discussions about ethics, consent, and the implications of designer babies, leading to regulatory frameworks for responsible use. Functions of germline. Germline gene therapy involves making genetic modifications to the germline cells, which include sperms and eggs or early embryos, which means the changes can be inherited by future generations. Here are some key functions and potential benefits of germline gene therapy. First, disease prevention. It can potentially eliminate genetic disorders from a family lineage by correcting mutations in genes that cause hereditary diseases such as cystic fibrosis or sickle cell anemia. Second, enhance genetic traits. There is potential for enhancing desirable traits such as resistance to certain diseases or improve physical or cognitive abilities. Through this raises ethical concerns. Third, research and understanding. Germline gene therapy can provide insights into genetic diseases and the function of specific genes, contributing to broader medical and scientific knowledge. Last, ethical and regulatory discussion. Germline modifications prompt important discussions about ethics, consent, and the implications of designer babies, leading to regulatory frameworks for responsible use. Functions of germline. Germline gene therapy involves making genetic modifications to the germline cells, which include sperms and eggs or early embryos, which means the changes can be inherited by future generations. Here are some key functions and potential benefits of germline gene therapy. First, disease prevention. It can potentially eliminate genetic disorders from a family lineage by correcting mutations in genes that cause hereditary diseases such as cystic fibrosis or sickle cell anemia. Ethical issues of germline. Germline gene therapy is much more controversial. It would introduce normal human genes into the eggs or sperm of parents or into the fertilized egg or early embryo of the offspring. The goal would be to change the eventual child's genetic inheritance. This could be done in order to avoid genetic disease or in order to introduce an enhancing genetic variation. There have been no trials of human germline gene therapy. Indeed, there is an informal moratorium in the scientific community on trying such experiments in humans, but its feasibility and its are unclear. New genes have been successfully introduced into the germline of other mammals, but with very low efficiency. At the same time, pre-implantation genetic diagnosis allows parents to choose embryos based on the genetic variation, as long as the parents themselves produce the desired variations. If not, Donated eggs or sperm would be a much safer and easier way to introduce the desired genes than somatic cell gene therapy. Germline gene therapy may turn out to be most important as a barrier to somatic cell gene therapy. If germline gene therapy were banned, researchers using somatic gene therapy might need to make the difficult showing that the transplanted genes could not infect the patient's germline and thus constitute inadvertent germline gene therapy. Example of germline gene. An example of germline is the use of CRISPR-Cas9 or CRISPR-Cas9 technology to edit genes associated with inherited disease. In 2018, a Chinese scientist announced the birth of twin girls whose embryos had been edited to confer resistance to HIV by targeting the CCR5 gene, which is involved in HIV entry into cells. This case highlighted both the potential benefits and significant ethical concerns surrounding germline gene therapy, including the risk of unintended consequences and surrounding the implication of creating genetically modified humans. While this example demonstrates the feasibility of germline editing, it also emphasizes the need for rigorous ethical and regulatory frameworks to guide future research and implications. Thank you.
For the continuation of our report, now we are going to proceed to the stem cell gene therapy. So what is stem cells? So stem cells are unique cells in the body that have the ability to develop into many different types of cells. They serve as a repair system for the body, capable of dividing and renewing themselves for long periods. Example of this is the use of stem cells in the treatment of blood disorders such as leukemia and anemia. So in these cases, adult stem cells from the blood, known as the hematopoietic stem cells, can be used to generate new blood cells. This can help to restore the normal function of the blood and improve the health of individuals with these conditions. So here is a video clip on how the stem cells works on a human body.
Whenever there is an injury or a challenge to an organ or tissue, a whole process of renewal takes place in the body to help restore optimal health. Soon after the injury, the affected tissue releases specific compounds that travel through the blood to the bone marrow. When the compounds released by the injured tissue reach the bone marrow, these messengers tell the stem cells in the bone marrow to divide and create new stem cells, which are then released from the bone marrow into the bloodstream. Slowly, the number of stem cells increases in the blood circulation. At the same time, the affected tissue releases another compound called stromal-derived factor 1, or SDF1, that attracts stem cells. As stem cells circulate in the fine blood vessels of the affected tissue and sense the presence of this compound, they stop in the blood flow and migrate into the tissue. Inside the tissue, stem cells slowly migrate to the very site of injury where SDF1 is being secreted. When they reach the site of the injury and come into contact with the damaged tissue, stem cells begin to multiply and then slowly transform into cells of that tissue. Through this process of amplification, one stem cell can become thousands of tissue cells. It is through this natural process of renewal that the body maintains optimal health every day of our lives. StemRegen is a natural product made of plant extracts that have been documented to support the release of stem cells from the bone marrow, thereby increasing the number of circulating stem cells.
More stem cells in circulation means that more stem cells are available to participate in the process of tissue repair.
Stem cells are derived from different sources, two of which are embryonic and the somatic stem cells. The embryonic stem cells are derived from a 4 or 5-day-old human embryo that is in the blastocyst phase of development. The embryos are usually extras that have been created in IVF or in vitro fertilization clinics where several eggs are fertilized in a test tube, then implanted into a woman.
Following fertilization, the developing embryo contains a group of cells known as the inner cell mass that will eventually go on to form all tissues of the body. However, at this early stage of development, these cells have not yet committed to become a specific type of cell and are said to be in an undifferentiated state. If the cells of the inner cell mass are isolated, they can grow indefinitely in a plastic dish and maintain this undifferentiated state. These cells are known as embryonic stem cells, or ES cells. Like cells in a developing embryo, ES cells retain the ability to form any type of cell in the adult body. Thus, ES cells are said to be pluripotent. By studying the signals required to control how ES cells develop into specific cell types, scientists may be able to develop therapies capable of restoring damaged tissues.
Next is the somatic stem cells. Somatic stem cells are undifferentiated cells found in various tissues throughout the body. They act as a sort of internal repair system capable of dividing and differentiating into specialized cell types to replace damaged or worn-out cells. So here is a short video clip for you to understand about the topic stem cell and gene therapy.
Could this be a cure? Genes, found deep inside our cells, play a role in our health. When they're changed or missing, they can cause disease, but they may also hold the key to curing it. Gene therapy treats disease at its source. This is the next step in personalized medicine, built on decades of careful research. It involves repairing or enhancing cells at the genetic level. Some gene therapies are also called cell therapies because cells are removed and modified outside the body before going back into patients. Unlike conventional medicines that often need to be taken over long periods of time, most cell and gene therapies are designed to be one-time treatments. It's a new era in medicine.
This is the continuation of our topic about the aspect of gene therapy. I am going to discuss about bioethics of gene therapy. So what is bioethics? Bioethics is the study of the ethical issues emerging from the advances in biology, medicine, technologies. It is proposes discussing about the moral segment in society and is often related to medical policies and practice, but also the multidisciplinary study of and response to these moral and ethical questions. Bioethics is a subfield of applied ethics. Germline in biology and genetics. Germline gene therapy will correct the genetic variants of the reproductive cells of an individual, and this would be passed down to future generation. A germline is mutation o pagbabago na may epekto sa cell function na maaaring maipasa from parent to offspring. Next is gene therapy. So, ang gene therapy daw ay isang experimental na pamamaraan na gumagamit ng mga gene upang gamutin o maiwasan ang sakit. Ngunit, ang pamamaraan daw na ito ay nananatiling mapanganib at patuloy na pinag-aaralan upang matiyak na ito ay magiging ligtas at epektibo. Sinasabi din na ang gene therapy ay isang medical na diskarte na gumagamot o pumipigil sa sakit sa pamamagitan ng pagwawasto sa pinagbabatayan na problema sa genetic. The example of gene therapy is modifying human DNA. Human DNA is a DNA found in the cells of all humans. So gaya nga ng sabi ko kanina, na napapasa ito from parents to their offspring during reproduction. So what is bioethics of gene therapy? Germline gene therapy possesses the risk not only the patient but also to future generation. Germline gene therapy faces difficult ethical questions related to comparing with human nature, financing human traits, parental control over children, discrimination, and social justice. There are ethical issues involved in gene therapy. Some of the inquiries cited are Genetic Home References 2017. Number 1. How can good and bad uses of gene therapy be distinguished? So how can be good and bad? Let's try to analyze the situation in bioethics therapy. This gene therapy does have risk and limitation. In good uses aimed at treating or preventing serious genetic disorders, enhancing health outcomes, or addressing public health issue. And yung bad uses intended for non-therapeutic enhancements or to create inequalities. Next issue, who decide which are normal and which constitute a disability or disorder? So, genes carry the information to determine of which traits are considered normal and which qualify as a disability or disorder, influenced by societal norms, medical perspective, and philosophical assumption. Halimbawa, ang pagiging genius daw ng isang tao ay hindi normal, ngunit hindi ito natatawag na isang kapansanan. Ang mga kapansanan daw ay maaaring nakikita kung ang isang tao ay gumagamit ng wheelchair o may kapansanan sa pangdinig, o invisible kung ang isang tao ay may autism o dyslexia. Ang disorder daw kasi ay tumutukoy sa isang medical o psychological na kondisyon na lumilihis mula sa karaniwang functioning nito. Number 3. Will the high cost of gene therapy make it available only to wealthy? Sinasabi nga na ang gene therapy daw ay kadalasang hindi kayang bayaran ng mga taong higit na nangangailangan ng mga ito. So take note, ang gene therapy daw ay unaffordable dahil $2 million ang halaga per dose sa bawat pasyente. So isipin natin yun na talagang napakamahal ng gene therapy na only the very wealthiest o yung mga mayayaman lamang ang mapapagaling sa isang paggamot, depende pa sa mga nagbabayad o yung may kakayahan talagang makapagbayad. So, bakit daw ba mahal ang gene therapy? Yung gene therapy daw kasi ay pagsasagawa ng pananaliksik at pagbuo ng isang ligtas at epektibong gene therapies. Kaya masasabing magastos at maaaring maging mahirap. And time-consuming din siya to produce a gene therapy sa isang large scale o yung malaking sukat. So next issue, could the widespread use of gene therapy make society less accepting of people who are different? On a large scale, germline gene therapy could result in the selection of characteristics to improve the genetics of a population. The widespread use of germline gene therapy may make society less accepting of people who are different or who have particular disability or genetic condition. And last is, should people be allowed to use gene therapy to enhance basic human traits such as height, intelligence, or athletic ability? In general, genetic manipulation should be reserved for therapeutic purposes. Gene therapy replaces a faulty gene or adds a new gene in an attempt to cure disease or improve your body's ability to fight disease. Gene therapy holds promise to treating a wide range of diseases such as cancer, cystic fibrosis, heart disease, diabetes, hemophilia, and age. In summary, gene therapy is a method that may treat or cure genetic-related human illness. There are two forms of gene therapy. One is somatic gene therapy, which involves the manipulation of genes in cells that will helpful to the patient but not inherited to the next generation. The other is germline gene therapy, which involves the genetic modification of germ cells or the origin cells that will pass the chains to the next generation. There are many ethical issues on gene therapy. Some of these issues are about questions on whose authority or power to decide which human traits should be altered. Other concerns are on discriminatory effects of those who may not or cannot avail gene therapy.